Good morning, everyone. I have had a couple of changes going on in my life. I've shuffled things around. And during this healing journey that I'm on, it's like ups and downs. It's ebbs and flows, okay? Some days you're up, some days you're down. That's normal. However, I'm really just tuning in, and the more I listen to my body, like the more I listen to what's going on in here and here, the more I'm being guided and led to what feels right, and I'm learning so much more to be in tune with what triggers me and what feels good for me. And life is too short to be doing shit that you don't want to do and makes you feel unhappy, okay? And I've been looking a lot into somatic release. I often get things, intuitive downloads in my dreams or in my kind of like sleepy mode, or sometimes I'm woken up in the middle of the night and I'm just hearing or having a revelation about something. And being a yoga teacher, I'm very familiar with, the body holds the score and how we can have trauma in our lives. And we can hold that in our cellular level, in our muscles, in our structure, and that can stay there, and you can get aches and pains that are due to stress. Maybe you hold all your stress in your shoulders like me, or in your neck. And I'm realizing as I'm on this healing journey, like those worms that I talk about, those subconscious things that are allowed to come up to the surface and be heard and listened to, my body is also communicating with me. And, I'm really interested in psychology and counseling. It's what I do. Life coaching, kind of sharing inspiration and trying to help others and assist others in their own healing journey, or just allowing them to feel nourished and seen and heard. And I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I was falling asleep and I was aware of a trigger that had come in, and I was feeling very triggered. And I was feeling tense. And I was like, why does this same experience keep repeating? And I know it, but the analogy that I was shown was, let's say there's an original trigger, which I know what that is. Then there's the trauma or the stress that's in the body. And in order for you to look at that original trauma, something similar, like a sandwich, has to come and rest upon that experience. So in order for you to actually look at the original trauma, because your body wants to heal, you want to heal. We are naturally able to heal ourselves. But how are you going to do that if you just spend your whole life suppressing everything, not allowing it to come up, not allowing it to breathe, not allow it to be seen and heard and, dealt with? Sometimes something comes along that reminds you or triggers you of that original trauma as a gift. It's a gift. And it's hard to see it or view it as a gift, because you think, what the fudgery is happening? Why does this keep happening? Why does this similar experience keep happening to me? And why is it not happening over there? Because you all have different trauma. We all have different trauma. So this sandwich effect comes almost as a gift. And it doesn't even have to be anywhere near as bad as the original. It just needs to remind you. And so what it's saying is, hey, you haven't looked at that thing that's in your shoulders, in your body, that tenseness, that original trauma. It's time for it to be gone. So how are we going to do that? Because you're just too busy, girl. You're running about your life, ignoring it. So how are we going to get her to look at it? Let's send something along to remind her that she needs to look at this thing, right? Remind you. So something will come along. Very similar makeup, very similar experience. It's more about how it makes you feel than anything, because the feeling is the emotion behind it, the trauma. It's in your emotions, and then it's stored, as I say, it's in your body. So when these things come, don't ignore them. Ask yourself, what am I being triggered by? What is this reminding me of? And what do I need to look at? And more often than not, we think we can think our way out of the trauma. We think we can reprogram our minds. I mean, that is an aspect of it. But what about the body? What about the trauma that is stored in a cellular level? How do we release that? And this is where we come into the idea of somatic release, which is what I've been looking into more. And as I say, as a yoga teacher, I'm familiar with all of this stuff, but like applying it to yourself, you tend to leave yourself last. I don't know why we do that. So I'm just going to show you a few simple exercises that I did with some of my students last night, which can help release that cortisol and that stress hormone from your body. And we need to be getting into a practice where we're doing this regularly, because we're carrying like burdens around with us every day. And how do we get rid of that? So one of the somatic releases that we can do is like shaking. And you've got your end points, which are your hands, your feet, tops of your head. And more often than not, just shaking, and there is a psychology behind that. When you're in fight, flight, or freeze, when animals are in that state, when they've been attacked or they've been chased, let's say a deer is being chased by a tiger, you either run the hell away from that tiger, or you pretend to be dead, which is the freeze, or you're just in panic, like, let's hope they haven't seen me, Those are your three primal instincts: fight, flight, and freeze, yeah? When an animal comes out of if it hasn't ran, when it comes out of the freeze or play dead, you watch it will get up and it will shake, okay? And so you'll see like these little fawns or these little deers or whatever, once they literally do this and then they're good to go and they act as if like nothing happened. Us as humans have kind of lost that ability. And what we do is that adrenaline and that cortisol and that stress hormone stays in our body after a traumatic experience, where that primal instinct to run or to get away, get as far away as possible to that traumatic thing. But we've forgotten the gift and the natural way of shaking out that cortisol or that stress hormone that's raging through our body, creating tension and distress in our structure, right? So one of the things that we can do is sort of simulate that by shaking our hands, moving, rocking, swaying, all those things. And what you're doing when you're doing these somatic release exercises is you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of you that is those beautiful messages to your brain to calm and to release off that cortisol and not to be sending all that stress hormone, yeah? And you're sending messages that you're safe, okay? And you can do this by massaging under your collarbones, taking your fingers, stroking down your earlobes, massaging your face, rubbing your arms and taking the energy away. You can take your thumb in this position, putting it here under your shoulder, and then embracing yourself and gently rocking from side to side. You can have your knees bent and you can just be swaying. You can shake, you can you can make noises, you release, exhale, get rid of that energy. And you can feel pretty silly doing these things, but it's just literally shake it, that Taylor Swift, shake it off, whoop, whoop. So you're shaking it off, you're saying, right, I'm done with that, don't need it. You're releasing it all from your body, and it's coming out of like your fingers, out of your toes. You can imagine it coming out the top of your head, and you can be literally swaying, you can be bobbing. I was doing this yesterday, like the ragdoll pose in yoga, and I was swaying from left to right, telling my students to do the same. And there was this beautiful feeling of safety, and I was thinking, hang on, this comes right back to when I was pregnant. I would rock, and when I was in labour I would rock. But also when you're walking as a mother, there is that sensation. So I think it takes us right back to being in utero, where our mother is carrying us and we're safe and we're warm and we're in the womb. So maybe try some of these exercises and let me know what you think. See how once I start stretching, I'm like, I just want to keep moving. So try some of these exercises and see if they help. Just 10 minutes or something, just rocking or shaking or dancing. I think that's why dancing is so good. Just Or singing, expressing through your vocal cords, through your throat chakra. People that have had the inability to speak their truth or speak what they really mean, or they haven't been able to express, you can get all, caught up here. Not living your truth. Like scream, shout, get it out, breathe. Big deep breaths, big belly breaths. And on your exhale, like oh, like make some big sounds. Just think, get it out. Get that cortisol out your body and love yourself.